Good day, everyone. Today I'm going to explain a short text we needed to prepare for this assignment. The text is called Barriers Can Give a Competitive Edge. So the meaning of this video is to explain the core of the text and to explain a bit of the business vocabulary mentioned within the text. Also to look through the arc lenses and explain how that all fits in with the text. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the core of the text. The core of the text is about Geert Hofstede, the Dutch management theorist, who explains, and he's also mentioned within the text, about how the convergence of different cultures within the globalization of every market and every company is coming together, and how different it is. For example, an example that's given within the text is Lexus, how a different car brand from, because Lexus is owned by Toyota, is getting very popular within America, but it isn't very popular within Europe because the Europeans are very loyal to the car brands they know. So it's the text is mainly about how barriers can, but it like actually the title of the text is how barriers can give a competitive edge. How different barriers prevent companies, or they think it prevents them from competing on other markets or overseas markets. So that actually is the core of the text. So how would you look through it as, or explain this as a leader, if we are going to the arc overview of the process? So a leader is actually the moderator, and within this text he would guide every point like I just did. This is an example of how a leader would talk within a presentation. Is he would make a summary of every point that was said within the text. So it's very important for the leader to be clear, to have clear guiding points, so that everything is has a very good context, and it's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very easy to understand. Then the contextualizer would actually look up a little bit more about the text, would explain a bit more about every little detail, every example that's given within the text. Then the visualizer would make like a nice PowerPoint about the text. He would visualize every idea, visualize every example that's given, maybe even give a little bit more examples. Then the highlighter would highlight the important parts, everything that's very important to remember from within the text. And then at last, the connector connects all the points that the highlighter mentioned to make one good, what's it called in English? In Dutch it's called geheel. Yeah, I can come up with a word to make one good group of everything connected to each other. Then lastly, I will discuss some of the words that are mentioned within the text, some difficult English for business or English business words. The first word I'm going to mention is saturation. Write this down so that it is clear. So as you can see, let me just make sure that it is visible. Saturation. So saturation is mentioned on line 2 in the text. It's the explanation for the word is like in the text is mentioned that companies or markets that are companies where companies are in are actually getting saturated, and they are looking for overseas markets. So the explanation of this word is actually so that filling a thing or place. That's how I remember it. So that you fill a place and nothing can be added anymore. So when something is saturated, like a saturated sponge, it can't hold any more water. So that's how I remember it. That's for me the word saturation. The second word I want to discuss is subsidiaries. Here you go. It's right under saturation. So let me just subsidiaries are mentioned within the text as like a daughter company of the big company. So a sentence that I would describe it in is BMW is a mere subsidiary of the Volkswagen Group because it's a brand from the Volkswagen Group and it's owned by the Volkswagen Group. So if you would look like for an explanation of the word, is subsidiary is when something is less meaningful, less important. That's how I would say it. The next word is globalization. So globalization, it's probably visible. So globalization is when different companies are coming together, they are converging, they are combining. Also convergence is a word I will explain in a bit. They are combining together and they are becoming one similar thing, so everything is blending together. The next word is convergence. So the next word is convergence. So convergence is, like I just explained, it's when two or more things become one similar thing. So you have globalization, where this is happening for the whole world, for one market. And then you have convergence, and that's for like one specific thing. Like, for example, I'm going to give this in a sentence, the convergence of pop culture trends and maybe technological process gave us the camera phones and the selfie, which is a very big phenomenon. Oh, excuse me for this. What we'll discuss is linguistic. So linguistic, as I'm showing right now, is when you're connected to language or when you're studying a language, is the study of languages. So it's also easy to remember. It's linguistic, and you can attach it to the word language. So yeah, and the last word I want to discuss is quick cross. So the last word I want to show is cross-fertilization. If you can see it, probably you can see it. It's a cross-fertilization. This is a little bit like convergence, but not the same. It's when you are mixing together ideas, customs from different places, different groups of people to produce a better result. So convergence is actually when you take two ideas, you put them together, and you have one other idea. And the cross-fertilization is actually the process of the convergence, when you are mixing together the ideas and the customs from different peoples, from different people and different places, different groups to produce a better result. Those were all the vocabulary words I want to mention and I want to discuss. Lastly, I'm going to give a short summary of what from everything that has been discussed in this video. So the first thing I discussed was the core. So the core of the text is that convergence and globalization is very important, that it can be a big barrier for different companies. And it can be a problem for some companies. The second thing I discussed were all the different stages of the ARC or the arc, with the leader, the contextualizer, the visualizer, the highlighter, the connector. I discussed all those 3 steps and how they would fit in within the text. And then lastly, I discussed all the vocabulary words that I think are important within this text. So lastly, I would like to thank you for listening and watching this video, and I hope you have a great day, and this is helpful for you in any way. Goodbye.